Hello and welcome to the Sacred Gates. My name is Elora. Now, all of us have a personality. We often link our personality to our name. You know, here's Elora and my personality is kind of like this, and I've always had this personality. Yet we also want to reach for our higher self. And when you start connecting to your higher frequencies and you're wanting to get to know your spirit, you start to kind of notice that this personality, although we need it and it helps us, our persona, our frontage, and it helps us through society, it helps us in many, many ways. We need that personality in this world to operate. Yet at the same time, when you're wanting to really connect with your spirit, like what is this spirit that I am? You start to think outside of your personality and your ego, and you can also experience that your personality is getting in the way, and it can feel frustrating sometimes to have your personality because of the attachment that we put with it. So I just wanted to show you a technique that helps you to give your personality more space. And when we feel really attached to our personality, we all know people, and we've all been that person at times, who feels very attached to the personality. And there are, I believe, periods in our lives when we need to be a bit more attached to our personality in order to kind of frame who we are and develop who we are as an individual. You know, we often see young children starting to really develop their personalities, and of course teenagers are very opinionated and striving out and understanding their sense of justice and who they are about. And then as we get older, people kind of start to look at their personality a little differently. And like I said, we've all been that person, or we know people that are very, very attached to their personality. And what we find when that is happening, the mechanics really mean that we are not people aren't able to let go and change, you know. They're not able to change who they are very easily at all. And when you can't change, you're really fighting with reality, because reality is always changing. From moment to moment, everything is always moving, everything is always flowing, everything is always changing. And if we're stuck in holding on to our personality and trying to keep it the same way all the time, then we're really not able to grow and let go at all. It makes it very hard. It also makes it hard for the people around us. So what we want to be able to do, there's a fly just buzzing in my face. What we want to be able to do is to give our personality a lot of space, because when we feel stuck with our personality, it's like this. There's no room between, you just can't see beyond your personality, but you know, because you've had experiences, spiritual experiences, that there's a lot more to you than just this personality, than just Elora, or just what your name is. So we want to be able to give the personality a lot of space, because when we're developing ourselves spiritually, if we're not willing to let our personality change and evolve, then it does make it really hard to integrate the lessons from our higher bodies, our higher energies, from our higher self. It makes it very difficult to kind of download the new software, yeah? And that's why I love Tayshara, because Tayshara is very much a body art, and it really helps to change your hardware so that that new software can come through. So let's have a look at how we can soften up and allow more room for the personality. And it doesn't mean that we're getting rid of the personality. That just creates a lot of aversion and thus resistance, which doesn't help. We still need our personality, but it's very helpful to feel more space around our personality, so that it's not all that we see. It's not our only perspective, you know. We can see beyond it, and thus we're able to kind of shape it and adapt and let some things go, and we don't feel so stubbornly stuck to it. So I just did another video recently on letting go, the mechanics of letting go. So it is literally just the same practice. So there's two practices that help us get into that realm of being able to adjust our personality and let it grow and give it a bit of space so that we can evolve. And that is observing ourselves. That is the first sacred gate. It's observing ourselves. When we observe ourselves, we give ourselves naturally a lot more space, even if we're just observing. Just notice when you observe yourself now, or observe your surroundings now, just notice that suddenly, just take a moment now to observe. You become aware of yourself. You're not just on autopilot. So you've got something to work with. Already, you're feeling space, yeah? It's like you're looking down on yourself. Yeah? You're observing self. You're observing Elora. You're observing yourself. So you've got something to work with. When there's no eye on you, when there's no self looking in, you're just on autopilot, making the same mistakes that are getting in the way of where you really want to be going, where you really want to be growing. So first of all, it's observing yourself. Observe yourself as much as you can throughout the day, and it is the most wonderful world we live in, that we can have all this mundane life that makes it a very easy ground to observe ourselves through. So first of all, number one is observing ourselves. The second is knowing how to let go. And knowing how to let go, you can view this video here. I'll just put a little diddly dum 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 on the top of the thing there. I still don't know what to call it. The card or whatever they call it for YouTube, and you can watch that video there to help you with letting go. And when you let go, you really are then able to let go of your personality in those moments where you just feel like digging your heels in, and whatever element kind of tends to like take a hold of you, you're able to watch that, and you're also able to let it go. Okay, and then you're really cooking, because then you're able to flex and change and adapt, and your higher self will and does come through all that space. When you're just like this and you're not observing, and I'm just me, and this is who I am, and I can't change, or I want to change but I'm attached to me, and what's going to happen to me when I change, what's going to happen to my personality, you know what's going to happen. Space is going to happen. Space is going to happen, and when space happens, there's room for a lot of high self contribution, because all your high self wants to do is contribute to you. All it wants to do is contribute to you in a way that your lower self, your personality self, cannot contribute at that level. It just isn't capable of doing that. And so when that space happens, your higher self comes through, you've got a lot more awareness, and the tools that you're developing in your own personal spiritual practice are really going to start coming in. And the more that you observe yourself, the more space you create, the more you let go throughout the day, the more you're able to integrate your spirit, your spiritual practice, what you're really on about. You're able to integrate that so that you're not just that spiritual person when you're doing your 20 minutes, half an hour to an hour or 2 hours or whatever hours you've got given to your practice. It can be all the time, so that the spiritual path you're walking isn't just a sometimes path. It's an actual path that is being walked by you. And when you walk that path enough, it ends up walking you and taking care of you. But the only way you can do that is through first sacred gate observation of self, and then of course learning how to let go and really understanding the mechanics of letting go, and really developing trust and faith in all of that, so that your lower self does feel safer to kind of expand and let go a little bit and adapt and change and change itself.